How old were you when you started karate?
Well, when I started karate, I was 15. I started judo at 7 years old. That was my first martial art, was judo. And my experience with judo was, I was in first grade, and I went to, a friend of mine said, try to push Teddy, this guy's named Teddy Bundy, just try to push Teddy and see what happens. I said, what do you mean? Teddy's a tiny little guy, I don't want to push him. He goes, you can't push him. He'll take you right down. I said, what are you talking about? He's tiny. I said, oh, twice his size. Try to push him. All right, I went, hey Teddy, I can't push him. I went to push him. He did judo, threw me through the air, and I hit the ground. I said, what? So I got up and went to push him again, and threw me again. Threw me like 3 times. I said, what are you doing? It's judo. So I went home that day and said, Ma, I want to take judo. And then, about a month of bugging her every day, she finally signed me up at a judo school. And my first day in judo class, the teacher said, you know, judo means gentle way, or the way of yielding. Karate, empty hand, is much more dangerous. It's more about punching and kicking and striking. Judo's throws, chokes, and some ground techniques, but not as dangerous as karate. So it kind of planted the seed for me the way to want to get into karate. Any other questions? Yes.
What's the latest thing that you found as interesting or rejuvenating in how you're studying your martial arts?
Latest thing? Well, I'd say not the latest thing, but how I study now rather than before I study was concentrate mostly on practicing my kata every day, over and over. Not that I don't do all my drills, but you know, I got to a point where I realized a lot of people think of what technique they're going to do. What should I do in this situation? What should I do in that situation? You get to a point, if you keep practicing your kata, it doesn't matter what move you do. They all work for any situation. It's just being able to adjust it while you're getting into that position. And assuming the position of your kata is how you use kata to fight. It's going from position to position. And fighting from, or using the technique from where you are at the time you're attacked, rather than assuming a fighting type of guard, just assuming it. But, you know, practicing kata over and over and over doesn't stop at any level of your training. In fact, the more advanced you get, the more you should be practicing it. A lot of people say, well, what is doing Naji 300 times, doing my kata 300 times going to do for me? Practice it 300 times and you'll know. And besides being a workout that you never expected, it does something. It starts to reveal itself. It's like you're being rewarded for all your hard work. And you start to understand a lot more about it. Sometimes I practice kata more in a week than most people have practiced in their lifetime. And they'll never get to those levels not practicing it that much. A lot of people are like, how can I get to the level to where I can just react without thinking and just use a kata and any of those moves just work? Practice your kata over and over and over and over. Knowing what it's about is important. If you practice your kata without visualizing what's going on, you're not developing any chi, you're not developing any, any technique. You're just doing the move and not seeing the opponents. It doesn't become a martial thing, more just walking through your steps. Start visualizing your opponents if you're not doing it now. And practice the kata as much as you can. How much did you practice it? You can't really physically do it anymore. You know, some people say, how much should I practice a kick? I know, and one thing is, Kyokushinkai was the one style I studied. I think it's more of a, I used to be fascinated by Masuyama. But it's a sport style. It's very basic in a way. But the deadliest and the best part of karate is in your kata. The only way to master it, so you can do it without thinking, is to practice it over and over and over, and visualize what's going on. Very, very important. If you don't do it that way, you'll never really get to a high level. All the old masters told you to do it that way. But some people say, well, just keep practicing it, one day you'll be enlightened. Well, you've got to know what it's about too. So knowing what it's about and practicing it and visualizing what's going on is good. Another thing is, we're taught to practice kata hard most of the time. Practice it hard, but then practice it semi-hard, which is more like checking, deflecting. And then practice it soft. Soft means you're visualizing coming behind the attack. So rather than smashing in the attack, visualizing coming behind the power of the attack with every move you do. And then things start clicking in your head that never clicked before. Because you've been practicing hard so much, you're not thinking of the other parts of it. Hard is smashing, destroying. Semi-hard is checking and deflecting. Soft is attaching to the inside of the power arc, flowing with. So when practicing your kata, practice those 3 different ways, and you get to a much higher level. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Have you ever had to use like a really dangerous technique in a real situation before?
Have I ever had to? Yeah. I won't talk to it, but I have. And I'm not proud of it. I'm more proud of just getting out of a situation without having to hurt the person again. And from now on, someone attacks me or something happens, I'm just pressing and using points that'll, stop the situation without hurting the person bad. Only if I have to start striking, I'm going to, just because of the deadly implications of it. And I don't really enjoy hurting people. Maybe when I was younger, I did a little more on sparring, but I don't enjoy hurting people so much, I do it in practice to show you guys how it works and so you know. But I don't enjoy that, and I don't have a good feeling after a lot of people. I smashed that guy's face. Shouldn't be proud of that. Samurai didn't boast and brag about killing people after a battle. They kept their mouths shut. They weren't proud of it. Any other questions? Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you. A Master Moran has